Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Great Big Plugin Show on Puremix.com. My name is Mark Abrams, and every once in a while I pop on here and I demonstrate plugins in a live stream format, which makes it super fun because you guys get to join me on my here. So this is the blast, doing the plugin show like this and having a live stream thing, because you guys can tell me what you want to hear the plugin on, things you want me to try with it, and this is as much your show as it is ours. So please join in and be part of it, and let me know if you want to hear it on something as we go through. Very excited about today's plugin. We are demoing the Vac Attack from Mixland Audio, another plugin from Jesse Ray Ernster, and we were here a couple weeks ago demoing Subloom. Before that, we looked at Steam Driver from Mixland. That was a super cool one. And we've done a few others too. Mixland is doing some really, really cool stuff, and has been very interesting with their GUI interfaces. Subloom I was raving about on the last one because I found that so useful. And yeah, just a big fan of what Jesse and the guys over at Mixland are doing. So today is no exception. Vac Attack is super cool. I've had this one for a couple weeks and I played with it a little bit. But today we're going to be using it on a full mix. And I'm switching things up a little bit. We've used a bunch of songs from Puremix for the previous plugin shows. Today, we're using a track from one of my favorite bands here in Columbus, Ohio, Honey and Blue. So they are an amazing duo with a super good band, some of the best players in the city. And we recently did a song called Brighter Days. They did a live version of the song that was recorded in a very, very cool spot. From some of my friends, the Towns, and it's a rehearsal spot for touring musicians, and amazing place. But yeah, they tracked this live in that room. It's a giant room, big kind of warehouse, so there's some room sounds in this thing. And I thought that the vibe of the track was going to be perfect for what Vac Attack does for me personally. Just a super vibey box, and I think this track is going to go really well with it. So it'll be pretty fun to dive in and check out. So let's go ahead and go over to Pro Tools here. And there we go. And I'm going to go ahead and pull the plugin up. We're going to start with it on the drum bus. So let's talk about what this thing is. Okay, so we've got a nice big interface here, and they do have the resizable interface over there, so we'll just go nice and big so you guys can see it. So the Vac Attack is based on a old tube limiter, not super old, went out of production within the last 10 years, I think. I don't know that much about the original unit. And it was known for definitely doing some of the tube things that we love. So, you know, could throw in all the marketing buzzwords here, but we'll skip it. I found it to be a really, really useful plugin. And the layout is just kind of as you would expect. Going over from the left, we've got reduction. So this is going to be like our threshold. We've got gain for makeup. We've got a knee, so we can change the behavior of the compressor with its attack and release times, how aggressive it's going to be. A mix knob for blending in parallel. And then some super cool stuff down at the bottom here. So very flexible sidechain EQ, high pass filter, mid-range band, low pass filter on the end of it. And then over on the right, one of my favorite parts of the plugin, it has a bit of a tone shaping circuit to it. So we've got a low push and a high push, and we've got a couple different frequency points on it that we'll get to. At the very end of it, we've got total harmonic distortion. This plugin is released under the Plugin Alliance umbrella, and this incorporates the THD circuit that they're well known for and all that. If you are a Plugin Alliance subscriber, you have access to this thing as part of your subscription, which is great. I believe it's also available for individual purchase, but not sure. You can check it out on their site, either Mixland or Plugin Alliance. So we've got some drums on here. At the very top, we have a couple other things, obviously presets. There's a left and right link for controls on here, and gain link as well. We'll dive into that. But one thing I found really important off the bat was the oversampling feature. That's going to be right here. And I think we're just going to listen to that to start. So let me play a little bit of the song to let everybody get used to it. I'm going to bypass this, and I'm just going to hit play, and we'll check it out. Here we go.
If you're keeping score, you always lose. No need to try your best to try and prove. And if we only hear the things that we wanted to, tell me how can we repair if we act like we don't care? And if we go our separate ways, I hope you'll find your brighter days. And if we go our separate ways, I'm hoping that you'll find your brighter days.
If we lost our way, is it lost for good? Got caught up in a day today, never thought we would lose it all.
All right, so not bad for a live track, right? We've got a male singer, female singer, and everybody going live. We got some background singers, and this the stems that you're hearing right now are from the mix. We did an Atmos mix of this, so I had to print a bunch of stems, and we're basically working off of those. So we have mixed stems here that we're just going to try and embellish with the new vac attack. So I'm going to go to the chorus here, or to the verse section, and just kind of loop it. And we'll check out what we can do on the drums. So let's solo them up. Okay, so first thing I want to check out, when the box comes in, I'm hearing the tone of it come in, but I want to check out the oversampling. So let's see here. That's going to be a super subtle thing, and it might not even go through all of the live streaming stuff that we're using to get this audio to you. But basically, with the oversampling on, I'm hearing the drums open back up from when I put the plug-in on, so I'm not feeling like it's congested and kind of shoved down the middle. And definitely appreciate the oversampling feature on here. So let's start dialing in some sounds. So one thing right off the bat, the auto gain feature in this plugin is really good. That's something that a lot of times you'll have auto gain on a plugin and you'll start cranking up the input and the output won't really go down like it's supposed to. So I feel like this one does a great job, and it allows you to just kind of hear the compression sound right off the bat without being fooled by the gain. So definitely appreciate that that was well done here, not just included, but well done. Let's keep going here and just kind of listen to what happens when we play around with the knee a little bit. So over at 0, we have kind of a slow attack, fast release sort of thing. It's not really, or slower anyway, and it's kind of just doing a gooey thing, just kind of putting it all together, but it's not reacting very quickly. Over on 10, we've got a faster attack, fast release, and it's really kind of grabbing those transients on there. So one more time we'll do that, and then we'll kind of bypass. I really liked what I was hearing over on the slow, on the knee, just being at 0. Let's check it out. So I like how it's kind of controlling the bottom end of the track of that kick, but it's also grabbing it pretty hard. So let's use our sidechain EQ and just bring up the high pass filter. So kind of letting that kick through, but I'm also still hearing a bit of a high cut, like a high pass filter being engaged. It's just controlling the sub of that kick and just kind of making it sit in the track, which is cool. Let's play around a little bit with our EQ over here. And on our EQ, we have two different modes for each of the bands. There's a J and an E. So I did a little research before the show, and my mind immediately went to SSL. In all their videos, they have to say the British sounding console, but I can say SSL. It's not an SSLJ or an SSL EQ. What Jesse describes it as is his favorite bands for this particular use, and also his partner, I believe it's Eddie, Eddie's favorite. So it's Jesse on the top, Eddie on the bottom. And word has it that they're doing a little competition on what settings people use most. So let's see what sounds good here. We're going to start out with Jesse's settings. Okay, and in that research, I found the frequency points for those bands, though not listed on here, I believe is 52 on the bottom for Jesse. Let me check here. I think I wrote it in a note. There we go. All right, so it's 52 and 230. So Jesse is 52, Eddie is 230. Jesse is 4.4K, and Eddie is 10K on the high shelf. So those are our numbers for those. And I think I liked doing a little bit of Eddie's top band on there, and I might leave the low end alone. All right, so not really doing a whole lot of compression there, but I dig the tone that it's adding. Let's go on to the bass. So we've got our bass sound here, and I'm going to put Vac Attack on and then just start tweaking. So cool thing Jesse pointed out in one of his videos is that this thing can almost act like a transient designer. So as I'm kind of dialing this in, I'm hearing the pluck of the finger going down on the bass guitar a little bit more as I increase some of the compression on there. For the knee, I'm going slightly faster. I don't really want to like clamp down the bass and hold it. I kind of want to just hear a little bit more of that pluck. So that's what I'm doing there. And then we're going to play around with some of the harmonic distortion on this. Let's see if we can get some hair on the bass. Cool. So definitely adding some gain, but it's pretty apparent that Eddie's band was working well for me to kind of bring up a little bit of top, a little bit of presence, and doing a little bit of distortion kind of brought out some of the upper harmonics on there. I'm going to try and just gain match it a little bit. Here we go. And I'm not seeing those meters move at all, but I'm definitely hearing a little bit more transient pop through. So as always, use your ears, not your eyes. But I do think that there's some stuff happening, even though it's not registering on those meters. That's kind of what my ear's telling me on there. All right, let's check out some guitar played by the one and only Adam Darling. And we'll go to this little section here where he has a nice lick. Here we go. It's already doing a really nice thing to the detail of the guitar for me. So just getting some of those extra harmonics up top is pretty cool. There's a bit of a low mid buildup that's happening on some of the lower notes. So let's see if there's anything we can do about that. I'm going to use the low frequency push. I'm going to go to Eddie's band, which I believe is a little higher up at 250. And we're just going to take a little bit of that out. Let's check it out. Pretty cool. As I did that, I could hear more of the spring reverb kind of come up into the sound a little bit, which is neat. And let's try Jesse's EQ point for the high. Bypass. All right, let's check out where we're at and see if I've done on the gain staging here. So here we go. Cool. So let's take a second verse here and just listen to a little bit of before and after. Here is Bypassed. And in. Can hear a lot of that bleed coming up on Adam's guitar as I pushed up the harmonic distortion and did that EQ bump, we definitely got a little bit of bleed happening over there. So I'm going to back some of that off just for the sake of it fitting in the mix. All right, let's go on to some keys. So it's our good friend David Swank on the keys. Let's hear it. So we did add some distortion in the mix on that, but let's just see if we get something cool from Vac Attack. See what we get here. So I'm pushing that pretty hard, and it's not sounding overly compressed to me. It's definitely squeezed, but it's not sounding like I'm just crushing it. There's not a lot happening on the meters necessarily there, but I'm hearing a nice like harmonic push from it. It's pretty neat. I'm going to back it off just a little bit, then we'll play around with the frequencies over here on our EQ section. That's the kind of breakup that reminds me of a Leslie. I was just tracking Leslie actually over the weekend, and that's the distortion characteristic that I think of when I start just pushing the Leslie super hard with the B3. It starts breaking up and you get all the tube stuff and everything, but it's pretty cool that that distortion sounds that way on this box. And I could definitely see myself just coming here for that. So pretty neat. I've got a bunch of Brainworks, the Plugin Alliance stuff that has circuits like that, but this one sounds a little bit unique to me, and I definitely dig it. Maybe it's just, you know, the seeing the interface and all of that stuff, and I'm completely fooling myself, and it's the same in every one. Don't know, but it sounds really good. I like it. I'm going pretty subtle here, but I'm definitely adding some harmonics in there. Let's check out Adam's vocal. So Adam, sorry in advance, man. I'm gonna solo you. Here we go.
And if we go our separate ways, I hope you'll find your brighter day. And if we go
I was muted. I'm back. All right. That's what happens when you do too much oversampling. Pro Tools crashes, your mute button doesn't work, the whole thing. It's a mess. Guys, let me know what you think of Vac Attack in the chat. If you've gotten to use it yet, what are some things that you dug about it, or that you've gotten to use it on that you thought have been pretty cool? And definitely, if you want me to try it on something in particular, let me know. We could pull in some other stems as well. While that's coming back up, little bit of housekeeping. We have a new video with the designer of this plugin, with Jesse Ray Ernster, coming out on Friday. That's going to be Doja Cat's Woman that he's mixing. So we're super excited to have Jesse on the platform. It's his first video. he's an exceptional teacher. If you've seen any of his videos where he demos the plugins, you've seen that. But he's really, really fun to watch him mix. And the way that he approaches things, to me, is a very, it's very clear what he's doing at all times. He's both a great explainer and just the examples that he does. It's very cool. The way that he listens was something that I took away from the video. Just has a really cool approach about blending things in, backing them off, slowly bringing them back in. He's not afraid to double back on his decisions. If he's gone down a road that he doesn't think is right, he doesn't just keep going down the road because he started down the path. He takes the time to go back and really make the track right. So watch out for that video on Friday on Puremix.com. That's Jessie Ray Ernster mixing Doja Cat's Woman. It's going to be awesome. All right, Pro Tools is back. Hello, Pro Tools. Welcome back. All right, I'm going to leave the oversampling off so that we don't crash it. We might be asking a little too much out of my computer today. So let me throw Vac Attack on Adam. And let's check out this vocal, see if we can make something cool happen here.
And if we go our separate ways, I hope you'll find your brighter day. And if we go our separate ways, and if we go our separate ways, and if we go our separate.
All right, so we're going to listen to something here. This thing is doing a really cool thing on the mid-range. So I'm in bypass. Let's listen to it.
And if we go our separate ways.
So on the word we, he kind of jumps out of the speakers and just kind of flicks your eardrum a little bit. It's a little bit of that painful, like 2-3K thing that just kind of comes out. It's also exciting, so it can totally work in the context of things. And this is the kind of stuff that if you go too far over fixing it, you can take the life out of the mix. But check out what happens when I put the Vac Attack in here.
And if we go our separate ways.
So here we are in bypass.
And if we go our
with Vac Attack.
And if we go our separate.
And then let's dig in a little bit more. I'm going to make the knee a little bit more aggressive.
And if we go our separate ways. And if we go our separate. And if we go our separate. And if we go our separate ways.
So this is one of the cool things about this plugin is I'm thinking about it, obviously as a compressor. I want it to, kind of take care of some of that thing that's jumping out of the speakers by compressing. But I'm also thinking of it as an EQ because this is also one of those things where I could load up an EQ, go look for that band, either do it dynamically or do an automated thing where I just kind of try to deal with that one little spot. But the Vac Attack's kind of smoothing it out in a way that it doesn't completely kill it and take it away. But it's just kind of rounding out the transient of it, which is really neat. So I'm definitely leaning on this box as more of a tone piece than necessarily the awesome compression that's built into it. It's great, but it's doing so much more than just turning the volume down, right? So definitely digging that. Let's keep going here.
And if we go our separate ways, I'm hoping that you'll find your. I'm hoping that you'll find your brighter. And if we go our separate ways.
Yeah, so using the sidechain EQ, I'm going to center it around 2.8, 9, somewhere in that 3K-ish sort of range. And I'm just going to push it up a hair. This is just up 2 dB, so it attacks that transient a little bit more.
And if we go our separate ways.
We started here.
And if we go our separate ways.
And here we are.
And if we go our separate ways.
Jessie, this thing is cool. All right, so let's see what we can do for the bottom of the vocal. I'm gonna go with Eddie's low frequency curve. Crank up the gain a little bit and let's see what we got.
And if we go our separate ways, I'm hoping that you'll find your. I'm hoping that you'll find your brighter.
I think I'm grabbing the right one. I'm hearing that Jessie's is a little bit higher on this, so I might have read those numbers in reverse earlier. This might be the 230 band.
And if we go our separate ways, I'm hoping that you'll find your. hoping that you'll find your brighter.
Okay, and one of the things that I love from Mixland is their tilt EQ. That thing has a presence, basically the top end band that you can lift up on there. He's got a 10K point that works extremely well on pop vocals, and his band on here I believe starts at 4.4, but Eddie starts at 10. I'm gonna try and add just a little bit of top to this and see how it feels. Here we go.
And if we go our separate ways, I'm hoping that you'll find your brighter.
Yeah, not really feeling like it needs it. Let's just see what it sounds like when we crank up the distortion a bit.
And if we go our separate ways, I'm hoping that you'll find your brighter.
Yeah, super cool. I could totally see using that in another scenario. Not necessarily this one, but yeah, I'd love the sound of that circuit. So here's where we started.
And if we go our separate ways, and if we go our separate ways, I'm hoping that you'll find your...
Let's roll with it. All right, next up, we have the amazing Stephanie on our lead vocal for the next section here. We'll go to verse 2. Here we go.
But if we lost our way, isn't lost for good.
That's not the right kind of vacuum. Hold on a second. There we go. All right, here we go.
But if we lost our way, isn't lost for good. Got caught up in a day-to-day, never thought we would lose it all. And if hearts have been ignored and misunderstood. Got caught up in a day-to-day, never thought we would lose it all.
Okay, so I'm going to take the reduction down and just see if I can do some work on the low mids with this EQ here. So we'll try out Jesse's first.
Got caught up in a day-to-day, never thought we would lose it all. And if hearts have been ignored and misunderstood. Got caught up in a day-to-day, never thought we would lose it all. And if hearts have been ignored and misunderstood. Got caught up in a day-to-day, never thought we would lose it all.
Man, it doesn't really matter what microphone you throw on her. She sounds amazing. These are all handhelds. You guys can actually watch the video for this on YouTube. Honey and Blue, again, is the name of the band. And yeah, they just sound amazing. But here we go. So I think that's sounding pretty cool. We'll see if we can get a little bit of reduction on it.
Got caught up in a day-to-day, never thought we would lose it all. And if hearts have been ignored and misunderstood. Got caught up in a day-to-day, never thought we would lose it all. And if hearts have been ignored and misunderstood.
Yeah, so not needing to do a whole lot of compression here. This is, again, these are pre-mixed stems, just kind of playing around with it. She started feeling a little bit thin with that EQ move to me. There's a thing in there, but it's a handheld held super close, and it kind of works out in the track, I think. So let's go over to our mix bus, and let's try it out there. As I hear people like to put compressors on the mix bus. All right, let's see where we're at here. So I'm going to leave oversampling off since it crashed Pro Tools a little bit ago, and let's just try to dial something fun in here.
Got caught up in a day-to-day, never thought we would lose it all. And if hearts have been ignored and misunderstood. Got caught up in a day-to-day, never thought we would lose it all.
So for this, I wanted to kind of leave the bottom end of the track alone. This is something I would do on like an SSL two bus compressor. Just bring the side chain up, leave the kick out of it, let the bottom end be gelled the way that it was set up. But I do want to kind of look at the mid range of it. So I'm setting that high pass around 120 for this. And let's just keep playing around. I'm going to mess around with the knee a little bit and see how going super fast will squash transients, and the other way too much holding on. So let's see what we get. All right, and I am going to try and turn on oversampling. Everybody cross your fingers. Here we go. Let's see what happens. So the setting I have right now, we're not seeing the meters move at all. But again, just listen to the upper mid range, even some of the high frequencies, and how it's kind of just pulling everything together. That's pretty interesting. So I'm going to bypass. Let's check it out. I even tried to make it a little bit quieter when it's in versus out, just to try and see if it's a gain thing and I'm just fooling myself. But to me, it just kind of rounds off the edges of it, just kind of makes it a smoother, almost that phrase of it almost sounds like a record now. That whole thing is there. So this is definitely a cool color box. Would it be right for every record? Maybe not, but on this, it's pretty cool. I actually like what it's doing to the top end and just kind of holding things in. It's almost like if you have all of the air in the record and it's kind of like too sparkly, too high-endy, and it's just kind of activating your ears or whatever, this thing's just kind of rounding it out and making it nice and smooth and to be able to listen to. So let's just be crazy and add a little bit of distortion here. Works better when it's not in bypass. So one thing about the signal flow of this box, I dug what I was kind of hearing there. It was fun. It's like a dirtier take on the song, which is kind of neat. But the signal flow of this box, we're taking the compressor, we're pushing it into the EQ, and then we're pushing into the distortion. As I turn the distortion up, we're hearing the apparent level rise up, and that's just something to be aware of. I went to the gain of the compressor and turned it down a little bit to try and match up the gain a little bit more. But that also changes how much I'm feeding the distortion circuit. So it's something you got to kind of, be careful of when you tweak one thing, you're affecting things down the chain and all that. You just want to turn the volume down. It makes me wish that there was one more knob here for output on the end of it, but we're all big engineers. We can figure it out. So here we go. Cool, pretty fun. I like the kick drum without it, but then after adjusting the or the side chain a little bit more, felt like it was doing some cool things. Again, my meters aren't really moving, but I'm hearing that gluing of things going together, and it's not just the distortion to me. I feel like I'm still hearing a little bit of subtle compression, which is kind of nice. So let's check out the whole track here. I'll put Stephanie's back on, and let's see a before and after on the whole mix. Here we go.
If we lost our way, is it lost for good? Got caught up in a day to day, never thought we would lose it all. And if hearts have been ignored and misunderstood, tell me how can we repair when it feels like nothing's there?
We can't leave those backgrounds alone. It was immediately apparent to me that there's no vac rack on the vocals. Vac attack. I didn't say vac rack. You didn't hear vac rack. Who said vac rack? Nobody said it. All right. Okay. Otherwise, people would think that's what this box is emulating, is the vac rack, but nobody said it, so it's not true. Here we go. Background vocals. So really bringing up the tail of the chamber reverb that I have on these vocals. Might be a little bit too much to compress these because they already had their treatment and all that, and it's just bringing up more of that reverb. There's already a lot of ambience from the environment that this was tracked in. So I'm going to back off a little bit of the compression as I go. I'm going to play around with a little bit of EQ and the distortion, and then we'll just try it back in the mix and see where we're at. Look at that. The distortion knob goes left as well. So I was hearing too much of the harmonic excitement of that thing. It was really bringing up that ambience, and I was hearing the texture of it over top of everything. It felt like it was a little heavy. I immediately went to the compressor thinking I was going to get the tone change there, but it turns out that that knob does go to negative values as well. And as I brought back some of the color, it started sounding a little bit more natural in the way that I wanted it to be. So let's check it out again, and I'll just play with putting that at 0 and then bringing it back. Pretty cool. Definitely a texture box for sure. So one more time, let's check this whole thing out. We'll start it off in bypassed, and then I'll bring it in as we go. So let me find out where I'm at in the song. Go into this chorus. So here we go. This is No Vac Attack.
If we lost our way, is it lost for good? Got caught up in a day to day, never thought we would lose it all. And if hearts have been ignored and misunderstood. Tell me, how can we repair when it feels like nothing's there?
And here we go. This is Vac Attack.
If we lost our way, is it lost for good? Got caught up in a day-to-day, never thought we would lose it all. And if hearts have been ignored and misunderstood, tell me, how can we repair when it feels like nothing's there? We go our separate ways.
So it feels a little heavy-handed to me right now. Like it's really kind of putting the squeeze on it, but there's a texture to it that's awesome. And if, I'd spent more time kind of dialing this thing in, I feel like that texture would be a positive addition to the track. So again, this track, the reason that I have these stems is because we were doing an Atmos mix on this track. And one of the things when you get into Atmos world is you start kind of pulling things apart, spreading it around the room, and you lose a little bit of the density that's in the track. So you don't have, frequencies interacting and building up with each other quite as much, depending on how you pan them, of course. And there's all sorts of tricks and long discussions. But one thing that, you kind of end up doing sometimes is heating up the stems a little bit to try and add some of that harmonic texture back that was happening from everybody kind of coming down the pipe together, being summed into two channels, and the harmonic stuff that would happen, the frequency interaction, all of that, trying to recreate some of that. So on a recent Atmos project that I did, not this one, because Vac Attack didn't exist yet, Jesse. But on a recent Atmos project I did, I used this all over the place on the stems just to add some color and some texture back into things. So as I panned it out, it didn't feel like I was, losing the congealing of the record. And it was really, really nice. It was, if you want to use it very subtly, you can kind of just blend a little bit of it in, and it kind of works to bring some of the color and the squeeze back to it, which is very nice. So yeah, over in the chat, we got SR1B is requesting a Bertom quick spectrum analysis. Let's do it. So now this Bertom EQ curve analyzer has also been known to crash Pro Tools. Not that that ever happens, but it can, I've heard. Just not on a live stream, right? Okay, so to do this, I'm creating a auxiliary return, and I'm going to, actually, I take that back. We're going to do an audio track because of the way that the Bertom works. If you haven't seen this before, the Bertom EQ curve analyzer allows you to load a plugin and then look at kind of what it's doing on a spectrum graph, so you can sort of see the frequency balance of that thing. So EQ curve, we got to put 1 at the beginning. We're going to set it as the generator. It's going to spit out that awful noise, and then we'll put Vac Attack right after it. And then we're going to put 1 more of the EQ curve analyzer. And now we have a readout on this guy for what's going on. So I have to keep the track in input mode, and we'll bring up Vac Attack, and it's taken over our EQ curve analyzer. Okay, let me make this guy bigger for you guys. All right, so we got it up on the screen. We're going to play around with Vac Attack and just see what happens. As I, kind of turn stuff, obviously, if I push up the high end, we can see what that curve looks like up top. And let's try messing around with the compression. So I'm going to bring up the reduction. We can see those meters kind of moving, and the frequency spectrum is not shifting according to this graph. So cool. Let's mess with the gain. As I push it harder, it's not folding or anything, so nothing's really happening there. Adjusting the knee, bringing up the reduction again, nothing happening. Go to our more squishy guy, nothing. All right, and blending in parallel, obviously nothing. Okay, cool. So nothing going on in the EQ with the compression. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not doing anything, because if you remember, when I just put it in the circuit, also due to the harmonic color that was happening, I'm going to dial that back as far as I can. But when I put it in the circuit, I heard the change on Adam's mid-range. You know, as he hit the W in that phrase, the mids were kind of popping out of the speakers a little bit. Putting Vacrack on that just kind of smoothed it out and rounded it. So trust your ears, as they say. Cranking up the distortion, no change in the frequency spectrum. But we can go ahead and look at these curves here. So put the gain back at 0. We'll look at Jesse's high-end curve. Nice broad slope. And then we'll switch that over to Eddie's. And we've got a sharper, steeper curve, going to be adding some more presence. It does dip back quite far though. So 2, 3, 4 starts lifting around 4, up into the 10K range. And then Jesse's was reaching back all the way, 700-ish, and then going up. Let's check out these low frequency points. So here's Jesse's. Jesse's got the broader shape. He's reaching up even as high as 400 or 500, but definitely centered around that 240 range. And then Eddie moves down. It's got a little bit of a almost like a high pass filter being on that, just kind of taking down the sub range, but doing a little boost, very Pultec-y boost down on the low end. So there you go, SR1B. That is our analysis. Cool. Virtual Recording says finding the sidechain sweet spot makes a big difference in this plugin. So yeah, I could definitely see that. Super flexible plugin. Lots of great tone on it. The guys at Mixland again are just killing it lately. We've had them on the show like 3 or 4 times recently, and just loving their plugins. I'm loving what they're doing. Jesse again just has some really great ears. Definitely catch out the video that comes out on Friday with Jesse mixing Doja Cat's Woman. It's a killer mix, and he did a fantastic job on the video. It's one of my favorite ones I've seen in a while, so definitely check it out. And yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up unless you guys want to hear it on anything else. Again, our track today was from Honey and Blue. That track is called Brighter Days. This is the live version that we're listening to. There's an album version and all that. And I believe the live version is available in Atmos on Apple Music as well. So you can check out the Atmos mix that we did for it, which is fun. You can also watch the video, see the room that it was recorded in. You can hear where some of that ambience is coming from. Towns Creative did that video, or provided the space for the video. I apologize, I'm forgetting the name of the videographer, but it's a really great video. You should go watch it on YouTube. And Honey and Blue, thank you so much for letting me use the track and solo up your vocals on national worldwide television, or whatever we call this YouTube-ish. Okay, so SR1B says, can you make it crush the drums, like make a lovely mess? Absolutely. You don't have to ask me twice. All right, so I'm going to take it off of the mix bus for now, and let's just solo up the drums and go crazy. There is a louder section to this song toward the end here. So let's take a listen to that. So I've taken Vac Attack off of the mix bus, but I've got it on all the stems. We're just going to listen to what's happening toward the end of the track here. Remember, I dialed everything in the soft section, so things are probably going to be pretty hairy over here.
I'm hoping that you'll find your brighter. And if we go our separate
Hulk smash. Let's go back over here a little bit. How's that for a mess? go back to our loud section. So one thing that might be cool with this, and I'm super curious about, I was playing around with the sidechain to see if anything cool would happen from just like blowing away the low end on it. But I think what I want to do is dial in this knee so that we get it to be really, really snappy. The drums already feel pretty snappy because again they're mixed stems, but let's try and get it feeling really snappy and then blend in some of the transients with the mix knob. And then we'll do it in reverse. We'll add a bunch of sustain and then try to add that in parallel as well. So here we go. Yeah, so it's not with the knee and stuff. I'm sure with a little bit more fiddling and maybe actually putting this on the individual mics, we could get some more snap and some more transient like I'd be looking for from this. But with like I'm thinking of a 33609 kind of thing where you can really kind of dial it in, or even a pair of distressors where you can really just get snappy snaps and then kind of slowly blend it in. This is a tube box and all too, so it's not necessarily going to do that, but definitely on the bass guitar, I felt that nice transient push, which was really, really cool. Yeah, kind of, yeah, very messy indeed. Yeah, I can definitely kind of get in here and get something that's nice and gluey. And I could see this being a beautiful parallel compressor. This is something that on the right track, I'm definitely going to pull it up and play with it. Lately I've been using the Omnipressor from Eventide a lot to just get that like mangled drum sound. That thing adds a whole lot of brightness and some craziness when you go in infinity mode on it and start blending that in. Sometimes it's a little too much, but I'm kind of thinking like my ear and my memory is telling me like, hey, this is going to be a cool, sort of more chill version of that when you need it, because sometimes it's just too much with the Omnipressor. So I end up not using that one and using distressors or something like that. So this will be a nice one to have laying around. Cool. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. And yeah, it sounds more of a groove box and a tone box. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I'm kind of interested to hear what would happen if we blew the kick up. Who doesn't want to blow up a kick? Let's find it. mean, right there, that's super cool. So I just cranked up the harmonic distortion, and then I was using the gain to push more of the kick into it. And I was starting to get that whole thing that happens when you overdrive a 1073, a Neve 1073 mic preamp. You just start getting all this beautiful saturation and everything. But there's no mix knob on that box, on the plugin or the actual hardware. So this is super cool because I just brought it down, and then if I wanted some of that, like, just kind of low end destruction to the kick drum, almost like the kick out sound, I can just dial it in a little bit. So let's check that out one more time. Here's in bypass, and then I'll start with the mix down and then just slightly bring it in. I'm hearing a little bit of the high end of the transient as well. Let's take Jesse's EQ thing and just accentuate that. Then we'll go crazy with Eddie's low boost. Yeah, definitely messy, but that's pretty cool. You start getting some of that feel down there, and dare I say, that sounds pretty analogish to me. Sorry, I used the word, but it does. Yeah, the way that the low end's kind of saturating and beefing up like that, that sounds great. And there's not a lot of plugins that I can think of that do that right off the bat like that, with that kind of saturation and all of that down in the bottom. So I actually think it's a great tone box, and I really like it. So great job. Congratulations, Mixland Audio. Guys, unless you have something else that you want to hear it on, I think that might do it. Yeah, it's definitely going to be versatile on individual stuff. Let's do that same thing on the snare. Why not? Here we go. Pretty cool. The distortions just kind of splatting the transient and rounding it off and taking away all the snap of it. But again, could be useful in a parallel situation where you don't have quite that much bleed. Yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, awesome. Joe just installed it. There you go. Yeah, sorry, Martin. I used the forbidden word analogish. Ugh. But there you go. It is based off of an analog piece of gear. And kudos to them for finding one that hadn't been done yet, right? That's pretty good. It's actually like a hunt at this point to find a piece that hasn't been turned into a plugin. And also not just that, but they could have not done the EQ section and and probably been successful with this plugin. But that's one thing I'm really finding about Mixland is they're worried, or not worried, but they're purposefully making plugins that are useful quickly in a situation, and not having to pull out an EQ to do a little bit of tone shaping is pretty nice after this plugin. It really is something that you can just kind of pull up, get a quick sound, and you might not need anything else, which is neat. It's not a channel strip, but sometimes it feels like it. Cool. All right, guys. I think that's going to do it for today. Thank you again. Congratulations, Mixland, on the release. Make sure you check out Jesse's video on Friday. Jesse mixing Doja Cat. Woman is the name of the song. And thank you guys for checking out the show. Thank you, Honey and Blue, for letting us use the music. And we'll talk to you guys on the next show. Thanks a lot. See you later.